Hey, how's it going? Uh, just wanted to stop in again. Decided to call this developer diary instead of the villain talk because we'll do more than just talk about villains eventually. It's yeah, quite a bit going on, quite a bit. And gosh, where did we last leave off? Where in the world? Okay, so we were on director's cut, and we were looking at a couple of the villains there, and we'll just take a quick look at them. It won't take too long. In fact, I wonder if we can finish those off today. But first, before we do that, I don't know if you'll remember much about the uh, the Mirror Town. Well, it changed quite a bit, and you're still it's still almost like the bank heist one, except now there's an armored car that actually drives through the town, and you as the villain are trying to rob it. You're trying to steal the loot inside of the armored car while the defenders are there trying to stop you. Guards can join them in the form of allies, and but you can whenever you get enemies, you can attach enemies when you beat them, and you can actually put those enemies out as a trap, and that will deal damage to and stop the armored car from moving because it delays them a little bit, and that just gives you an extra chance to um, step in. Yeah. Like I said, I thought villain talk just might be a bit limiting for when we do the other stuff, and which I do want to show some of that today, if you don't mind. We'll still do a couple of villains, and then I want to show you some of the other stuff. Really, if I had your yeah, there's no way I can just send you a message without putting a link in the main chat thing, and that would be kind of awkward. Um, so yeah, let's see. Oh, you can have the shootout against the car, against the armored car. Detach a clue. Their combat versus yours, and the winner uh, deals the other one damage. But yeah, then there's set a trap. No, I played it yesterday. I didn't get a chance to play it today because I had to rework a math class for because I teach, and but it actually was like uh, the first time the defenders had it, they got it all the way to the end, and they saved the loot, uh, and then I got one. I'm trying what I'm trying to determine is this last part here. Villain turn's fine. I'm not worried about any of the. Um, I wasn't happy for a while with it. So, but now I like the way the villain moves. They move every turn. They tick closer to that last location to where they finally, when they get off the board, um, you get a new loot and defender put out. Uh, or they can a pursuit. You move a random defender to the loot because then if you kill a defender, then the new one grabs the loot, picks it up, and takes over driving. Call for backup is when you attach allies to the defender, and from the first uh, part, you see the allies give the defender bonuses, and you always have to kill allies before applying damage to defenders. So you're shooting the guards. And the third one is grab a donut. The defender removes 1d3 of their damage. But the thing I'm trying to figure out is this last bit here. We, as the characters, the villains, the bad guys, take one loot per character back to the stash. I'm trying to see um, what a good number is of loot for the defenders. Now, granted, yeah, you can say whatever number you want when you play, right? So if you want to say when they get one back, it'll be a shorter game. You can say when they get five back, it'll be a much longer game. Giving and it'll be easier because it'll give you more time to win. And I guess I could do that too and just say 2, 3, 5 like usual, or 2, 3, 4 or something like that. Or hard is 1, then 3, then 5, uh, and let you choose that way. So we could do an easy, normal, hard mode here, and that would honestly work and solve a lot of the trouble on it. But really, no, you'll enjoy playing this one now, because like I said, the defenders drive all around town from location 1 all the way down to location 6, and you have that long to stop them or go through the deck to find enemies in order to set traps to make them pause, so you can either you or your teammates can go after them in the heist. So yeah, that's the armored car. Harder to get more loot or just longer? For the villains, for us, it is harder to get it, especially if there's multiple defenders out at a time. But yeah, either way, it would take. Honestly, if you did a first person to one, like either the loot escapes or or you capture it, the game would probably take maybe 15-20 minutes, depending on how many players. But yeah, I mean, we could do that too. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, 1 per player. Again, if you're doing 6 players, capturing 6 loot could take a long time. And again, that's the thing I have to think about, is which is better for. Should it be just a first 2, 1, 2, or 3? Just to make it more of a race than anything than the other thing. That's a possibility. The first group to get to 1 loot, 2 loot, or 3 loot, easy, medium, hard, wins. Because I got 1. See, what happened is, let's find it. I had. No, it wasn't you. I believe this was the defender that I beat. Because again, you have to use their combat versus yours. And mine was a 4, and theirs ended up being a 4 or a 5 because they got an item and they got an ally on them. And it ended up, it was, this one made it all the way through, but they had, 4 or 5 damage on them. There was just a bad roll and I couldn't do anything at the end, so they got out. Plus, you have to have a clue in order to attack the armored car to have a shootout. So that did make it a little more difficult there. But then on my second one, I had somebody with 1 combat. So I stalled them at the school, and I used perception, and I just and I managed to take out their health there because I was playing with 3 characters. So we got it all done that way. So yeah, that's why I didn't want to just do a 1-and-1, only because it wouldn't. I mean, the game could be over in a second. Or not in a second, but easier, depending on which defender you get. Because, like I said, you still need a clue in order to attack them. It's just, yeah. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm considering with it. I like the gameplay part. I like the moving around. I like it adds defenders. I like how the guards can come out of the locations to help. And I like the moving and the attacking. It's the end numbers that I'm working on. And once I get that part down, then I'll go on to the murder spree. But that's where we sit. All right. So let's take a quick look. Did we leave off with Cannibal Rednecks last time? I think it was. Yeah, I don't think you saw these at all. The Contagion. Have you heard of The Contagion yet? I don't know if you've gotten that one yet. I got a chance to see that. There we go. There we go. Share the screen. And here we are. All right. Well, you know what? Let's do it that way first. That would make more sense. I'll show you the mat for. Get back in there. Director's Cut. Villain Decks. Contagion. And Contagion mat front. Yeah, this is how I have to organize things for the printer. They like it very specific. There we go. So this is the Contagion, and their combat is equal to the number of Contagion. I just used the zombie die, or the zombie tokens, on your location. But what's neat is you're actually using these Contagion location cards, and it sounds fancy, but what it is it's a card with the same back as all of the as each of the locations, and you shuffle that in there, or I'm sorry, and what it does is it tells you which cards you got to find in the location in order to generate the cure for the Contagion. And what else is different is everybody gets 4 actions in this game. In the Contagion, you all get 4, and he doesn't suffer damage. The Contagion doesn't take damage at all. After each character's turn, add 1d3 Contagion tokens to a random location, then encounter a villain card. And you can cure a location when an item listed on the card, when you encounter it, you detach a clue to attach it to the location, otherwise discard it, and they gain the Contagion. The villain deck is empty, shuffle it, and redo it. Let me make sure I didn't miss it. Okay. Yeah, off-screen teleport. Before the combat round, you add Contagion. Yeah, this is all about infecting the locations. Safe for now removes Contagions because you're getting safer. If there's 5 or more on a non-cured location, add 1 to a non-cured location and do a villain card. So it's really about spreading the Contagion. He wins when the villain deck is empty. The players win when they cure each location. There is no actual villain turn for this one. So, yeah. Because you're doing this at the end of after each character's turn, you're getting a villain card. So you're not doing the regular villain turn. It's at the end of each character's turn, and you'll see the Contagion cards then in a couple of seconds, in a minute or so. If you win single combat round against Contagion, you're removing Contagion tokens. As an action, you can remove them, but they do come out kind of quickly. So that's the basics of Contagion. And merged location cards just to show you what they look like. And all they really are, honestly, is the location. Like this one's the mall, and it tells you what 2 cards you're going to have to find in order to get the cure. So if you're in the museum and you get the mask and the riddle, you'll cure this location, and that means it doesn't really count towards the Contagion. Yeah. So then when you find it, I believe it was a clue you discard, and then you can attach this to, or attach the item to the location, just so you know you found part of the cure. And we have it for all of the different locations. So you're not going to encounter this card. You're going to overturn it. Oh, that's one of the cure components. Let's discard the clue and then get it. Hopefully you have the clue to discard to get it. So that's that. And then we have location cards. And we have the regulars. I wonder if there's a way with StreamYard to queue up like 6 screens and just have them sitting there waiting for it. I can just hit add to stream for each one. That'd make life easier. I'll have to look into that. But anyway. Let's see. Yeah, here's one that's DNA modification. Place 1d3 on location 1, and it, of course, does location 2, etc., etc. And it's all about each time you add any contagion to this location, you add an extra one. You can detach 1 clue per character to remove adaptation from the game, and that's their thing. You know, is getting rid of cards. Like I said, when their deck, is taken care of, then let's see, where was that? Yeah, when the villain deck is empty, they actually win. You win when you cure each location. So their goal is to get the cards out. Yeah, roll number dice equal to the number of contagion on your location. For each success, overturn 1 card or remove 1 card in your location's discard pile from the game. So now, if you remember, it says if the villain deck is empty, shuffle the discard pile into the new deck. So it's not just overturning them when it's empty. It's brain freeze. It's when they're gone, when they're removed from the game. That's when it's empty. Where did that go? Yeah, that's a bad one. Remove the top card of each location from the game for each contagion on there. So, and that's pretty much what it is. It's all about removing cards, making the contagion tokens more quote unquote viral. So that's that one. Of course, we know the next one, hopefully fairly well, or at least we think we do anyway. And that is Dream Demon. He's been around a while. Changed a bit, but he's been around. The main thing was with him, we added fatigue tokens, which represent how tired you get, because he wants you to fall asleep, right? Because that's where he's the most powerful. So what he's going to do is most of his cards are going to be adding fatigue to you, or if you succeed, you'll remove some from yourself. But as soon as you get a certain number of fatigue, 4 or more, you lay down on your side, because you put your pawn, your standee, whatever you have on the side, and you go into the dreamscape then. And in the dreamscape, the dream demon is, of course, king, and he can't suffer damage while he's in there. Villain cards, and this is something new. Villain cards apply to all characters. And you're going to perform an event based on whether you're in the dreamscape or in the real world. And you'll see that when we get in there. Single combat. Anything causing a single combat round is blank. Instead, you get 1d6 fatigue tokens. So instead of fighting him, he makes you tired in order to try to bring you into the dreamscape. Now, you can remove fatigue tokens. And when you have none of them, you wake up. You're back in the real world. The nice thing is, when you come back into the real world, you bring the dream demon with you, and he suffered. And if you have any traps, because you can set traps out, um, he suffers damage for each trap at your location. If he loses a single combat round, send him back to the dreamscape. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, if you're in the real world, and you can purposely fall asleep because they did that, and this way, if you know you have a lot of traps set out, you can purposely make yourself fall asleep, even though the cards might be more dangerous, so that you can go in and get him and bring him out to a spot where you have traps at. Yeah, lay a trap. Place an attached item on your location. So you win when he's killed. He wins by gathering his song. And yeah, villain turn. Return the dream demon to the dreamscape. So he's always trying to get back there. Because again, that's where he's more powerful. And then any character in the real world suffers 1 fatigue because you're getting more and more tired. And in the dreamscape, you roll a die. You either gain a clue or fight the dream demon. So you either know more of what's going on because you're exploring, or he's found you and he's attacking you. Again, the dreamscape, you draw a random card from the discard pile. Or you can detach a clue to choose the card. So that's why we also put this thing in here called lucid dreaming. So if you don't have a card in your discard pile, you can use that to overturn 3 cards from your deck into your discard pile. It's just another action you can do. And if you would discard a card in the dreamscape, shuffle it into your location instead. So it's the opposite. So that's the dream demon's main mechanisms. You'll be moving in between the real world, and you'll be moving in between the dreamscape in order to find him, bring him out. Whether you want to go there or not, you might be sent there against your will. But then you're going to lay traps when you're in the real world, and then try to bring him out to wherever you have those traps. And let's show you some of his stuff. Yeah. Let's show. No, we don't want that one. Window. Oh, apparently I can do that. Okay. So yeah, there's the dream song. When he finds them, he attaches them. When you overturn them, he attaches them. If it's ever in his discard pile, you shuffle it back into his deck. So yeah, at the beginning of the villain turn, you shuffle it in, I should say. So this way, if you're damaging him during the turn, it's not like as soon as it hits the discard pile, it's instantly shuffled in. It has to wait until the villain turn in order to get shuffled back in. So you do have, it's not like you have no chance of ever killing him, kind of a thing. But there's his song. Once he gets all 5, then he wins, and you lose. So yeah, here again, the dreamscape. You do this for the dreamscape versus you do this in the real world. In the real world, you get fatigue and panic because he is after you. There is no mercy with this guy, with the dream demon. Dreamscape, the body stands up and asks why you let them die. In the real world, if you roll successes equal to or greater than your fatigue, you see a warning sliced into the skin of this person who fell asleep there on the ground, and you gain clues. If you don't, you remove an attached ally from the game, and the dream demon heals. That was because where was this one in? Gosh. I think it was Freddy versus Jason, maybe? Might have been. Where the redheaded guy was in the tub, and then oh, my brother and all this blah blah blah. Puts him against a chair, carves the message into his back. I think that's the one where it was in. I've seen so many of these; it's hard to remember which one was which. But that's kind of where I got that one from. And Injection of Evil. That one, yeah, that one was totally from the wannabe J guy from that movie. But again, real world versus dreamscape. It all depends where you are, which one you're going to do. Buried past, your family's corpses rise, or the citizens are hiding something. Again, this is all about they didn't want you to know that they killed the dream demon and they caused all of it. Of course, come to me, my children. I liked this picture, the haunting presence, because the clouds and all. I just thought it was a good one. Oh, you find his therapist's notes because he was in a mental asylum. Yeah, I liked that one. Sneaking up from behind. Oh, his special place. You actually attach it to him, and you encounter an additional villain card on the villain turn, but you can get rid of it in the real world. So yeah, but if you're in the dreamscape, instead of removing 1d6 fatigue, you only remove 1d3 because you're in his house. And I couldn't find claw-like, weapons enough, so I liked the hook one. Just lie the character down, so it's the same locations. Like you're going to be in the residential neighborhood, but it's the dreamscape vert because you're laid down, and then you're interacting with the location differently. Like you're pulling from the discard pile instead of drawing from the top of the deck. So yep, same locations. Just when you lay down the standee or pawn, whichever you decide to use, that's when you're in the dreamscape. That was from when. Which one was it? 3? I believe that was Nightmare on Elm Street 3, where I got that one from. And that's pretty much all of them. Let's see. Characters gain +1 fear at the beginning of the villain turn. So yeah, that's another thing you'll attach. Blood on your hands. That's when you're going to be doing something evil. I just liked that picture too. Encounter any location, but you're -2 to the check. Because remember, these are the villain cards. They're not meant to be pleasant to you. Time passes strangely. You're tired. You feel like you could collapse any second. Roll the Dream Demon's combat. Gain 1 fatigue for each success. And this one here, detach all fatigue. Don't bring the Dream Demon into the real world, and you suffer 1d6 damage because you've been in the dreamscape for so long. So that's him. That is your Dream Demon. Quite a bit different from the old one. I don't believe I even have the old one around here anymore. It still used the concept of the dreamscape. It still used the idea that there was a difference between the dreamscape and the real world. But this just really cements it home and makes them feel like different states or different planes. Okay. Then we're going to take a look at. No, we'll do it this way. That one. The Haunted Carnival. See, that one has a bit of a history to it, only because it was before I modified it. It was like an IP of another game, but we're using it because I still designed the game. It's just because it used to be Walker's Carnival in the original Slaughterville, and this really changed a lot. Before it was, you're still trying to get, I don't know if anybody remembers the original. You're still trying to find the carnival powers, and that's the way you're going to win. when you beat all of them, there's 5. And but here, the carnival isn't just trying to damage you. What it's doing is actually capturing souls. See, it says you loved the speed until the car broke the safety rail, flying over the edge. You awake in a smoking wreck unharmed. Calliope music draws you in. And it is based off of the movie Carnival, if you ever saw it, or Carnival. You're dead. You're a ghost. And your soul is trapped inside of this carnival. And the only way that you can get out is through defeating these different carnival powers. And the carnival is trying to gather a certain number of souls in order to solidify its power and win. So yeah, each pawn is a soul, and you can use standees if you'd like. When I did this, we didn't have standees for all the characters right away, so I just said pawn. When character suffers, and here's the thing, you don't suffer damage at all in this one. You don't get hurt. When you suffer damage, instead you take that many cards from the top of whatever location you're on, and you remove them from the game. Oh, by the way, before the player starting area isn't in play. Everybody starts on location 1, so you don't have a place to go heal, or get safe, because that doesn't exist in this spirit realm wherever it is you are, or whatever you'd like to call it. So, yeah, there is that. So yeah, whenever you take damage, I don't care how much, you remove that many cards on your location from the game. And once the last card of a location deck is removed, that location's destroyed. Now, if later, let's say you have you're at the farm and you have the sickle attached to yourself, and then all of a sudden the farm location is destroyed. Now, if you were ever to discard that sickle, it still gets discarded, but that location doesn't come back. It's gone. It's destroyed. So that sickle would essentially be out as well. Now, once a location is destroyed, all souls on a destroyed location are captured. You get to keep your items, your clues, and your allies, and you keep your character because, again, you're already dead. It's the only thing it's doing is taking pieces of your soul until it's ready to leave, until it's ready to be powerful enough. And you're also going to be able to attach characters. In other words, other lost souls can attach themselves to you, and you can detach them or use those souls to get a bonus based on whatever their stats were. So if they had an agility of 2 and you wanted that quick agility boost, you could detach that character and gain that boost. It's not easy to get an attached character or one of those lost souls, don't get me wrong, but it is going to be an option for you. Any cards, abilities that remove this, instead shuffle that many cards removed from the game into your location. So again, you're not healing yourself, you're healing the locations. Detach 1 clue to encounter a villain card, or you can detach a clue to suffer 1d3 damage and overturn 1d3 villain cards. And why would we do this? Like you said, we're trying to find and hunt down the carnival powers. So by allowing you to encounter villain cards more quickly, you can get to those carnival powers that much easier. And we still have the Wheel of Destiny on the villain turn. So that will do what it does. Yeah, unfortunately, number 9, -1 action for the turn. We had it up near 7, but 7 is the most commonly rolled amount. So we moved it off of there just because -1 action being the common thing was it wasn't as balanced as I liked. So yeah. Funny story, on the side of this picture, right over and about here, there's a monkey. Yep, I don't know why. I didn't, it's just the way it was. So I just zoomed in on the big top and made that the centerpiece because I liked that picture, especially with the sky in the background and the rope around this. Yeah, just a little funny story behind it. So there you go. That is your carnival. That's the main mat for the carnival. Now the game of, let's close that. Share screen. I had this one queued up ahead of time. And these are the villain cards for it. There we go. You got your wheel of, the game of chance just has you rolling on the wheel of destiny, but you get both effects. So if you get something positive, good. You get both positives. If you get both negatives, well, okay, you get both negatives then. But yep. And here's the big top again, just more. This one has you combining your stats and then rolling, counting the number of successes. Just like, did you see the prison when I showed that? I don't know if anybody saw that. Because the prison also is all about you combining your stats and making checks and counting the number of successes. And that's what a lot of this one does too. So if you roll 0 successes, it's pretty bad, especially if you have your agility and your combat and you roll no successes whatsoever. Trying to jump out of the big swing, that's not going to work out so well for you. Oh yeah, we still have bad guys. Oh, the water slide. Water slide has a shark in it. I wish I could have found, a really cool shark image where it was like looked like it was coming up, near a slide. I would have used that, but this was the most rundown water slide I could find, so I got that one. Fortune teller, yeah, she's always cool. You choose. This is neat about the fortune tellers. You're choosing 1 to 6 dice to roll, and you compare whatever you rolled against this thing. So if you roll a 6, you actually find one of those characters not in use. You only get one of them. Otherwise, you're going to have damage or gain clues, depending on how many you roll. So it's up to you what you want to potentially sacrifice. And here's one of the carnival powers. And they're going to each use a check based on your stats, based on each one. If you don't like clowns, this is definitely not the one for you. Yep, there's the ringmaster, the acrobats. And that's pretty much, and again, if you defeat all of them, that's when you win, when you defeat all 5 of these. Now, if you'll look, now let's go back to, sure, Freak Show, why not? Each character must make a check using their base nerve for this one, and the others use the other stats. So everybody gets together, makes a check using their base, and all it says here is fail. Well, heck, how do you know if you succeed? Well, if you have to look at the villain mat, and it's going to tell you a certain number based on the number of players. And we figured that was the average through testing and all. Number of successes that a certain number of characters would get if they rolled all of their nerve. And if you succeed, you've defeated the carnival power. If you fail, that's when you do this fail thing. So there you go. So it's, if you only have 1 or 2 characters, then it's much lower number of successes that you need because there's less players and less nerve that's being rolled. However, if you have more, then it's higher. You get the idea. So yeah, this one uses combat. Ringmaster uses perception, and then agility for clown. Because he's trying to, he set a bomb on a set of barrels, and then you have to try to make your way out before it explodes. So there you are. That's your carnival. I called it the Haunted Carnival, but I believe in the On the official back, it's just called the Carnival. Yeah, I just called it the Carnival. So there was that. We'll do Headless Horseman, and then we'll take a look at the other stuff. Again, yeah, this is still going to be the villain thing for a little, because we have one more set after this. So we'll still look at villains, and then we'll get into the other stuff. Share screen. So, honestly, I think the one that would have changed, I mean, he still had, some good changes, don't get me wrong, but the one that might have changed, no. Which one would have changed the least? I think the slasher was just made more difficult and more stocky. So she still had changes, but maybe it was fewer. But this one is an investigation. And the horseman is you're trying to find out who is controlling the horseman. And there are going to be a bunch of suspects. And you're going to choose a random crime. Okay. And that's not going to make much sense, honestly, until I show it to you. Okay. Da, 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 da. Crime cards, P&P. And I'll do the horseman cards, crime cards, and suspect cards. That will make our life a lot easier. There we go. We can see those okay? Did they not show up? There we go. All right. See, with the Headless Horseman, you're going to have a list of suspects, a list of citizens that may be, and they say the suspects on them, that may be in control of the Headless Horseman. The thing is, you don't know. You have no idea right away. Now, granted, it's a 1 in 9 shot. And what you do when you first set up the game is you shuffle all 9 of these crimes. And if you look, it says the crimes, because these are the deaths of those citizens. And when you shuffle all 9 of these and you pick one out, that person is obviously not going to die because they're taken away. And that person, whoever you take out of this set, is the one that's controlling the Headless Horseman. They are the one that's behind it all. And they're the ones you're going to have to face during the final combat. I believe this one does the final combat one. Yeah. So, we used the knife because I wanted to use the knife. So that's your Headless Horseman. He and each, just so you know just before we get into it, so you know what the idea of suspects versus crimes are. And the suspect is, again, who is it going to be? The crime is, oh no, this person was killed. Here's what we have to do to solve the crime. Because the Headless Horseman gets a bonus for every unsolved crime that you have. Because you're an investigator that's come into town. And again, I have all these stories in my head when I make these so that it can all come across thematically. So that it would make sense when we're playing and when we're designing. And I really hope that does come across. This inner story for each one. So you're going to put all of the suspects face up. So every one of these, all 9 of these suspects, goes face up as best as you can on your table, your location. I just put them above on the mat in where it shows the tokens and things. And I have all nine sitting there. And we'll go over what each one of them will do not each one, but we'll go over what they do basically in a second. So then you're going to overturn. First, you're going to choose a random crime and put it face down as the controller. So you'll shuffle the crimes, pick one, face down so you don't know what it is because you're trying to figure out who the controller is, and then put it somewhere. I put it under the villain mat. That's where I hide mine, so I'm not tempted to look. And then after that, you overturn another crime card and replace the matching suspect because, again, their murder is what drew you to the town to investigate in the first place. So that's that. So yeah, all the suspects are face up. Choose a random crime so that somebody won't be killed. They're the controller. Then you overturn another crime. That person was killed. Put a token on the player starting area to track terror. So it'll start off at 0. On each character's death, you're going to increase terror by 1 because people are going to die. The horseman cannot suffer damage until you've entered final combat. You can't hurt him. He can hurt you. So if you do a single combat round against the horseman, he can hurt you, but you can't hurt the horseman. You can remove an attached safe for now from the game to add a patrol token to suspects. And patrol tokens are going to be how you keep suspects safe because you're going to have a day and a night, just like Dracula, a day and a night. Which again is one of the reasons why I made that day-night token that we showed last time. And so during the day, certain things will happen. During the night, certain things will happen. During the day, you're going to have your chance to do investigating. Once per turn, you can draw 3 cards from your location. Place drawn cards or clues on crimes matching the character count, location, and icons. Okay, now is the time when we look at this and we say, what you're doing is you're investigating a crime. So when you come over to these crimes, gosh, that's a low percentage of that. You'll see that each crime, because we can tell it's a crime by this, and the back says, crime. You're going to need, based on the number of players, a certain number of cards and clues in order to solve this crime. So if you're on location 1 and Stephen was killed, you can use an investigate action and attach any items and enemies that you would overturn, okay, to this Stephen crime, as well as then putting on any clues. And once you have enough, and when it's 1 or 2 players, you just need either the item or the enemy and 1 clue in order to solve the crime. And then you get a nice little bonus when the crime is solved. Okay? But that's how solving the crimes work. That's how investigating works. You're trying to match the icons for the locations, characters, icons and clues. If you get safe for now, remove it from the game and add a patrol token to any suspect. If you draw off-screen teleport, perform the effect. Discard unused cards. If a crime is solved, discard its cards and clues. So yeah, they go back in. Yeah, if you get off-screen teleport, unfortunately, even during the investigate, you're going to get attacked. And that's during the day. During the day, you can investigate, and it doesn't cost an action. It's just once per turn, you get to do this. Now, during the night, you roll 2d6. You can detach a clue to adjust the number by 1 for each clue. If the die's number matches your location, you can either put a token on your location and the horseman doesn't ride there, or you can put a token on a suspect with a location matching yours. And again, what you're doing with putting the tokens on the suspects, again, is just trying to save them. You're trying to make sure that that they don't get attacked or killed. And we'll explain more. Again, you win when the horseman's killed. Horseman wins when there's a bunch of terror in the town. When the horseman's controller has made the town fearful enough. So, yeah, we did that. We talked about that one. Good. Yeah, you don't overturn and encounter a villain card on the villain turn. It doesn't happen. Okay. If it's during the day, you increase terror by 1 for each unsolved crime. Let's see. Nighttime, the horseman rides. Have a single combat round against each character at locations without patrol tokens. Overturn a crime card if the suspect has blah, blah, blah. Patrol tokens remove the crime from the game. So in other words, this again is why we're trying to put those patrol tokens, those like from safe for now, and when we patrol at night with our dice, because if you draw the crime card for, I don't know, let's say you drew it for Shin, and he had enough tokens on for the number of players, well, you remove the crime from the game, so he doesn't get killed. You've managed to save him. The bonus is that you now know who the controller isn't. So there is that. When the last crime card is overturned, discard unsolved crimes and enter final combat immediately. So there you are. As an action, that's just your final combat stuff. You can make a stat check, and you'll get the bonuses for it. Perception, if you roll at least as one success, you gain a clue, and there you go. That can be your action, one of your actions during final combat. All right. Any questions on the horseman? So again, your job is to try to find and solve these crimes as quickly as possible, while also trying to save the potential suspects. And again, the reason we're saving the suspects is because it's easier than trying to solve their crimes. Even though you do get a bonus for solving the crime, because I wanted to give you something for it. But it's much easier to get to protect them than it is to solve their murder. Plus, if you can save as many as possible and make that quicker, then that's less terror that the horseman is going to have getting towards winning, because he doesn't have as much time to get out there with unsolved crimes and so on. So, yeah, that's that. We talked about these guys, which is the suspects. We talked about their crimes, their murder. Now, the other reason, goodness, I don't know, I should go get a drink soon. But the other reason you want to save them, okay? During final combat, each saved potential suspect, call them a citizen, whatever you'd like to call them, gives you a bonus during final combat. So that's why you're looking to save them too. Like this one here, during final combat, each character suffers -1 damage. That's if you save him. Where was she at? Oh, and each one does have a little story alongside it if you'd like to read it. That's why I put him in there, really. It helps to build the whole world thing out. Like, she was doing Laura opened a greenhouse, selling flowers, vegetables, and more. Her knowledge of horticulture is invaluable. Again, you can remove Laura from the game during final combat, and the villain suffers 1d6 damage because she made you a poison. Now, because again, you might not be sure at first, and everybody can be a suspect. Each of these people's deaths. There's one. There it is. Nathan was found on stage, which was set up for Romeo and Juliet. In his hand is a vial, the poison from the famous scene. His tongue is swelled and he looks horrified. So he was poisoned by, could have been poisoned by her anyway. What's the significance of the locations on the cards? Okay. On the suspects, You must be on location 4 in order to put when you do the at night the patrol. Okay, you have to be on location 4 in order to put the token on him. You have to be on location 6 or location 6. That's why we put. That's why I put multiple on here. So if you're on location 1 and you roll the dice and you roll a 1, you can put a token on him then to try to save him. Which again is why it's fewer for less number of people. And they do have crossover, of course, with location numbers. So that's that one. Otherwise, it was the you have to be the item, enemy, ally have to come from that location in order to be applied to this character. So if Nathan was killed, you must be on location 5 when you do the investigate to overturn 3 if you want to put the enemy and ally on him. Location 6 is where you'd have to be to get one of these cards. Notice he doesn't need clues then, so that's why he needs more cards. Yeah, if you have him during final combat, each character may make an agility check and gain +1 to their next check. It doesn't cost an action for it. It's just it's Nathan's bonus for you. Yeah, that should be about. Let's go to here. And again, these are just the only time you're ever going to see these cards is in the final combat, depending on how quickly you get there. The controller reveals themselves, etc., and he's going to try to fight you and try to kill you. You're going to attempt to keep dealing damage to him, but he's going to at the same time and keep attempting to increase the terror, because again, once the terror reaches a certain number, that's when he wins. So that's going to be his goal, is killing and trying to increase terror. Because don't forget, when you die, you increase the terror by 1. Oh yeah, you get his skull. The beginning of villain turn, increase terror by 1. So yeah, if he has his skull, you can it increases terror by 1 for each time. If it's ever overturned or removed from the game, you immediately attach it. So he can't lose his skull. Same thing with the horse. He can't lose the horse. If it's ever overturned or removed from the game, immediately attach it. You get 2 villain cards when it's his final combat then, on his turn. There's a sword strike. Again, him just killing you, throwing axes at you. You have to use an agility check to dodge. You might be able to return them. Yeah. So again, depending on what successes you roll. All right. So that is your headless horseman. Each character makes a perception check against the horseman's combat for vanish. You spot him in the mist and strike, and he takes damage. Otherwise, you're hit from all sides and you suffer damage. And if anybody suffered damage, increase the terror by 1. Yeah, this one is for each character. So, well, I hope that made it a little bit clearer on what the horseman was. Oop, I hit my darn wrong button. All right, we'll wait and see if there's any other questions on. If not, we're going to move on to the next set. And we will save, because we have, heck, we got plenty of time. But I mean, next time we'll do Jack the Ripper, Serial Killer, Slasher, and the Zombie Horde. But in the meantime, I want to show you. There we go. Share. I like to share. Sharing is caring. So this is the whole folder for bunches of different games that I'm doing that I have either finished or planned. And this game marketing kit, I don't ever recommend it. It was honestly not worth the money. I gave like $20 for it. It's just no. I got a bunch of different fonts for all the different games that we have. Yeah, this is just my games folder for what I'm making. Let's see. Of course, we know Gods of Metal's done. Gods of Metal is complete, and when I'm done with them, I usually just keep the zip file of the PNP, and I have external drives after extra, plenty of backups for these things. That's the logo that we've got now. Should have seen the old. If you never saw the old one, it was bad. But I like this one. And let's see. Conspiracy Theories is what I'm working on. That's coming along. I usually keep, documents, notes, everything within, just so I like to keep everything contained. Archer. If I can't get the license for Archer, same thing with another couple of them down below. If I can't get the license, I will do what I did with the Slaughterville stuff and make a similar to but legally distinct from versions. Because I had... Really? That is so weird. Maybe that's what I accidentally hit. Because I knew I hit a wrong button. I must have accidentally bumped the knock it off of stream kind of thing. Okay. But there we go. Yeah, here's this. But yeah, I'll show you the Conspiracy Theories folder. It's just a game I have coming up that I've been working on for a while. A legacy style game where you're going to be going through and you're embroiled in all of these different conspiracies. And believe me, I have researched these tons. I enjoy conspiracies, don't get me wrong. Just because, again, I find things like that kind of interesting. Just interesting to read about. But I thought it would make a cool way to do some investigation and give a little bit of a mystery hunt type of game. And character portraits. Lizard people. All kinds of good fun stuff. Yeah, there's that. That's what I was looking at for the box title will be. Where was that picture for you? Let's see if I can't. Because again, they're not put into cards or anything yet. This is just, I would call this, if I were to classify, probably alpha-ish stage, where it's still early, But I'm having fun with it. And again, that's that would be the box cover that I'm looking at. So we'll see. I also like this too, but well, plenty of things to play around with in this one. It's going to be let's just say it'll be a world romp throughout while you're trying to investigate. See, what happens in the very beginning is somebody that has gone missing, and it will be a choose your own adventure, branching path. Which, if you ever played my cult game, I've done choose your own adventure paths kind of things before, and because it'll be legacy, you'll be destroying stuff, you'll be writing, you'll be putting stickers on, and all that kind of good stuff. So that's still in the works. Obviously, it's still being developed. So yeah, there's that. Let's see. Anything else you might find? Yeah, please, dear God, I don't ever recommend that game marketing kit thing. But we got the fonts. Ghost Chasers is going to be one that's A really light game. I don't even have the images or anything for it yet, but it's going to be one for uh, more family weight, where it's like Ghost Hunters or any of those other paranormal investigative ones, where they're going into the house looking for ghosts and getting scared out, kind of thing. But yeah, there's Gods of Metal, and all zipped up, nice and pretty. Do I have? Oh, here's something. There were some bands that I um, came up with for Gods of Metal. If you didn't get a chance to play that, you really should. It's a good deck builder if you like those. But yeah, Dark Funeral, Holy Cannibal, Haunted Trader. There were some other ones I came up with after, so I'm hoping. I mean, if enough people end up liking the game and getting it and checking it out, I would like to uh, bring these. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more bands that we could bring into the game. Um, so yeah, and what I do is I try to make the abilities match the band's name or the band's theme. So yeah, so that's something I'd really like to do is get more Gods of Metal out to people. If yeah. Like I said, if you haven't had a chance to get it, let me show. This was one. I'll be brutally honest here, as I always am. This was one of the things I was really sad we didn't get a chance to put in the game because, well, we only unlocked the small box. We only had the small box, but this is a board. I called it the stage, and you can put all the stuff organized, nice and neat on the board. Now I do have it available on Game Crafter, which is where I got this one. This one. So you can get it, but I would have liked to have included it in the box. So there was that. Gone Hunting. That's the one I'm working on next. Let me open up that file. And I can show you some of that. I think I did show. Did I show some of that last time? Yeah, I know I showed Gone Hunting on one of the streams. So I won't waste too much time with it again. It's a hunting board game. I'm doing it with Big Sexy, my cousin. We do Big Sexy outdoors together. And in fact, I might go out hunting later today and get some more footage. But you're going to be able to go through. You'll build the land that you're hunting on randomly using these map tiles. Again, I like to keep things organized. And there's going to be tons and tons of these, not only with individual land types, but multiple land types, so that when you put them out, you match them together. And each land type will give you some kind of a bonus or ability when you discover it, tell you what kind of animals to spawn there, etc. Yeah, I got all my icons, everything set up nice and neat and pretty. And then we have which one? Where were there? You are. This one here, which view extra large, just so you can see it pretty well. That's going to be the box cover. I just like that picture. Although I do like these. This I don't know why. I just like that kind of style of picture. So yeah, and you're going to be looking out for different trophies, and each one is going to like if you get a certain number of animals, you can cash it in, and it'll get you the points. The person with the most points at the end of the game wins. It's kind of a simpler, like I said, it's a family weight simpler game. But you're still going to have to go out. You're still going to have to hunt. You have to get animals. You have to get better weapons, and you have 14 days. Deer season, the 2 weeks, in order to get as many points as you can. And each animal, again, if you haven't seen it, I'll show you them. I'll just grab the forest ones. It doesn't matter. Each animal is going to be a little square token, and they're going to be worth either pelt points, trophy points, whatever I call them, towards the end of the game, or you can cash it in for money in order to buy things at the store. and you have to roll enough hits on your ammunition to kill them, or some of the animals that are dangerous can hit you back and hurt you, which would cause you to lose abilities and lose things that you're unable to do then until you got healed up. But of course, you could also find a skunk. Turkeys. That's what I'm going out for later today. It would be turkey if I go out. It should be nice out. Porcupines, gophers, bunny rabbits. Obviously, bunny rabbits don't have much to kill them, but they don't give you much either. And all of these numbers are still going to be tweaked as we're going through. You got bear. And here's the print and play. I don't know why I clicked on it. Because I got to make the print and play better using the new software I have. So that was another big thing when I was doing the print and play for the Slaughterville stuff was people were saying there were no cut lines, no guidelines. And I'm like, I wasn't sure how to do that in InDesign. Okay. But then they had this program called P&P Maker, completely free. You can donate to them, which I will. And it actually does all of that for you. It puts in the lines. It gives either the same backs or unique backs. It's actually pretty good. I would recommend it. I mean, I've used it. I've used it now for the last couple of games, and it's gone over pretty well. Hollywood Mogul. I like the idea of making films. Unfortunately, there have been like a deluge of filmmaking games lately where you take actors, put them into certain roles on certain films, and match the icons and things. So I think with so many out that running your own film studio kind of a thing, those type of games. I'm going to hold off on that one for a while, but again, we have plenty to do. Plenty to do. Now, Hunters. You might think Hunters has something to do with Gone Hunting, but again, these are just the titles that I have as placeholders, but it's not, because Hunters is more supernatural. Yeah, as you can see, supernatural licensing. First showing it here, by the way. I'm trying to get the license to the Supernatural series, and that's what this would then become. So yeah, you would be investigating, hunting monsters and things, investigating an overall plot throughout the United States. Again, will I get the license? I don't know. That's up to them to decide, CW and all that. So we'll wait and see. We will wait and see. Yeah, print and play maker. Oh, these are just print and play games that I collect at random. I like print and play games too. Save the City is a you'll laugh at this. It's you are a superhero, and you're sending out your B team to the rest of the town in order to try to stop crimes and defeat villains and so on. But again, I keep a what do you call it? I keep my design documents. Again, I just like to keep organized, but I try to keep my design documents there to make sure we can understand everything. Here, let me show you that. That might be neat. Whoops. Stop. Share. Window. There we go. An early look at the map. Like, this is early at the map for this scene. Was it Save the City one? Where you're going to have, different story things you can do, different places you can put characters with different abilities that you'll be able to gain just by putting them there. Different missions you'll be able to solve or collect, and heroes that you can recruit. I don't know. I thought it would be, something interesting. I always liked the idea of the superhero games, and I haven't seen one like that. So we're going to do that one. Again, it's on the list. We'll get back to you. Oh yeah, Slaughterville, Your Legacy. I am going to do a legacy version of the Slaughterville game that will be compatible with, of course, everything else we've done. And that's been. I have the outline going. I won't show, but yeah, I have the outline going. The location unlocks, how you're going to find new things, where does it start, where does it end, all of that in here. I always have my to-do lists. So this is in the works. Um, yeah, a legacy one. And I kept the P&P there. We have Slaughterville 3. Slaughterville 4, I have that sitting here already. Getting ready to go. I'll show you this. You might be interested in that. Speaking of developer diary thing. These are the future villains that are being considered. Not a guarantee, of course, except for the Krampus, the Samhain, for the holiday set I was talking about. Evil Cupid, Leprechaun, of course. This one here I had just setting aside because I thought they were cool. If you ever, when I was doing the conspiracy theory search, I found this thing on these black-eyed kids. If you ever get a chance to look that up. It is pretty kind of creepy. So yeah, I'd recommend it. Somebody mentioned the Happy Death Day film. I got to look into that more. And they thought about the aliens or Mars attacks. So I thought, hey, I'll take a look at that. See what we can do with Mars attacks. Now, one of the villains I've had listed for a long, long, long time was the Wendigo or Wendigo, however you'd like to pronounce it. Weak to fire, all that kind of a thing. But I didn't know because again, it's all about cannibalistic stuff, capturing and eating people. If it would be too similar to the cannibal rednecks. So I don't know if this one will ever see. I mean, again, I did, only a little bit of the research on it, but I don't know if I'll ever really do that one. So, I mean, it's there just if I can come up with something that's different and unique for them, I will. But I don't know. Now the Mummy I like because the Mummy is going to be affecting the whole town. It's going to be using all of its, the powers of the sand, the powers of the desert, kind of a thing. So yeah, so that's going to be fun when we do the Mummy. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Yeah, I even write notes to myself. I don't have it down 100%, but I know what I want to go for. And he wants to defend his territory. You've encroached upon him. And he doesn't see what he's doing as bad. He's just trying to keep his place safe. And so yeah, that's what he's going to be about. So that's one that I'm working on there. Oh, the possessed car. If you noticed, one of the promos was a set of keys. That set of keys was for this Christine-like car, and whoever has the keys is infected, possessed, under the control of the car. You've got the other players are going to try to convince them to give up the keys, talk them down, beat them down, whatever they've got to do. And so yeah, that's going to be the Christine one when I do that one eventually. I like the idea of that because it's going to be a relentless, brutal killer that also takes over other characters, which again I know will sound similar, but I think the rest of it, the internals, will make it seem different. Now, Storyteller is one I thought about bringing out with the library location, just because again that would be a good pairing, right? And each of their different cards would be themed to a famous story and or literary character, which I got tons, right? Much more than the 24 needed. So each one of them would provide an effect based on whatever their main theme of their story was. Sorry, that dash would have bothered me. So, why did it say edit display name? Why did it take it off again? So yeah, here's these. I don't know why it was doing that. No, not sure. I hit add to stream. So yeah, there's the many different villains that we have that we can potentially do. Again, this Black-Eyed Kids, man, you got to research that if you've never had a chance to. It is freaky. It is. Uh, Again, Happy Death Day. That's my bad. I didn't get a chance to look at it yet with everything else going on. So for whoever recommended that, I did not forget, obviously, because I put it here. Same with the one that recommended Alien or Mars Attacks. I like the idea of Alien because they can pop out of anywhere and try to get more of the psychological thriller or horror instead of the gore. I like the idea of that. So that's on the list. But again, this Wendigo, I just don't know. I'm honest to God, I'm tempted to just hit the delete key right now on it because it's really that similar to others to me in my head. Mummy though, no, Mummy's staying. Same thing with Creature from the Black Lagoon. I like the idea of him building up his defenses while you are trying to break them down. He doesn't see again what he's doing is wrong, but you would. And the possessed car running you over and doing all that fun stuff. But there's the storyteller thing, all the different potential cards for it. So yeah, again, they're evil versions, so they would all be dealing as much as they could to you. So yeah, those are the ones that I have set aside for the Slaughterville 4. Which ones are we going to include? I can't say yet 100% because, well, I'm not 100% sure which ones we're going to use. They're still being in development yet. So now let's put that back up here. Yeah, good. It showed up this time. There we go. I'm looking for the P&P maker. So, okay, that's. Let me P&P maker. And maybe it'll be under version where I can just copy. No, of course not. You're a jerk. Okay. I wish I could just take the zip file for it that's sitting right there and just send it off to you. But let me see if I can't find the about. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. Copy. Close it, close it. And again, yeah, he asks for the donations. And is there a better P&P tool out there? Maybe. I honestly am not sure. But this one works for me so well that I don't need it. In fact, let me just bring it up quick. I can show you that while we're here. Stop that screen. Share this one. I'm not going to update. And really, all you do is make sure we can see it. There we go. That's what it's going to look like. And let me grab. I'll just grab the Slaughterville 3 stuff. It doesn't matter at this point. Grab the B-Man. And I'm just going to grab a couple of files, drag them over. And you can see it adds all the files to it, right? Well, what else you can do with it is if you go under your options, you can set, again, the size, what it's supposed to look like, and that'll change what it looks like here when it's done the layout. The different fronts, you can have background color, but this is what people really liked, was the cutting lines. And I put crosses in there, and I made, because my the cards are black, I made the crosses white. You can use it on the front or on the back. They usually like it on one or the other. So I just put it on the front. If you want to do a header and footer and all that other junk I don't use. And there we go. Now you can also have the same back, different backs, and what have you. All right, because you got to say printing double-sided. Yeah, that is a weird thing with it. You have to say printing double-sided when you select the back. But yeah, then you pick the back for it, and because this is B-Man, and there it is. And what it'll do is, how many cards do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. Oh, good. When you make it into a PDF and save it, I'll just save it as something different so I can show you. Let's make sure you're. Yeah, once it comes up, I'll show you the actual PDF. But right now, it's just doing the inserting images, creating the PDF kind of a thing. And as soon as it's done, I'll bring it up. It really doesn't take long to make the PDF. It's just we have everything else running. And so, yeah, once it makes the PDF, it looks like, share the window, B-Man 2, like this. And there's your actual PDF file with those crosses in it so that people can line up their cut lines. And it just makes it easier when you want to cut it out. Now, if I had put the cut lines on the back, they'd be here instead of on the front. So, and again, you can do it to both. It just depends when they print it out. If they're like a couple millimeters off, when they cut it out, you might see the cut lines on the front or on the back, depending on which way you do it. But that's all I use, and that's what I make my P&P with now for everybody. And it seems to work, so. Seems to work. I'd also recommend, if you're going to be doing a lot of files, getting a free Dropbox account if they still have those. I had to get one for doing the business stuff. I save a lot of stuff there, but let me delete that file. There we go. So yeah. Bada boom. Last couple. Whoop, I don't want to share a video file. That would be nice, but I'm not doing that just yet. Yeah, I have plans for a Star Trek-like game. Same thing with Texas Chainsaw Massacre is going to be a minis game that I want to do. The Federation is a wrestling, boxing, some kind of fighting kind of a thing, where you'll be building up a character over time, keeping stats from game to game, character sheet wise, and building a character and going through and fighting. So there's that one. Again, what I'll do is I will write these down in design documents, which is basically the idea of it, and then it gives me something to come back to later. Now, Treasure is one that I've been wanting to find, and I haven't yet really seen anybody do it well. Now, believe it or not, Tiny Epic Pirates might do it, but I haven't gotten to play it yet. I have it over here on the shelf. I just haven't gotten to play it yet. But I wanted a pirate game where it actually felt like you were finding the hints towards hunting down treasures, and in the all the while getting attacked by the law while you're out looking for your treasure and attacked by other pirates and things. But I wanted it to. I was hoping Seafall would have been something like that, but that was so terrible. Seafall was just bad. I like the components in it, but the game itself wasn't very good. So yeah, I want to do a pirate game right, and that's what Treasure is going to be. Sliders is another one where I'm trying to get the license for. It's weird that takes so long to get back to you, but Sliders is going to be one where the world and the enemies are all modular. So you'll draw two different aspects for the world, which will help influence what enemies you're going to see. So you might get onto a world that's aquatic and robots. So, and again, that'll influence what the world looks like when you build it modularly, and what the enemies are going to be like when they're populated. So that's one that I'm planning. It's still in design document stage. And lastly, this one I've been wanting to bring out for so long, so long. Uh, it's just honestly taking that long to write. It's taking that long to do. And what it is Scene of the Crime is a system that will allow you to perform investigations and interrogate characters and do actual crime solving. And I set this one back in the old film noir days. Let me do the view extra large so you can see some of it. So yeah, that's what the art used to be. It's going to be different because this person is no longer with us doing drawing or anything. So he sent me this, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, can you do it in color?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, how much would it cost to get everything in color?" "Oh, I'm not going to do that." Like, damn it! I liked the color. I know noir should be black and white with the little splotches of red, sort of Sin City-ish. Um, but I really liked the way he did color for it. But anyway, art aside, which is nice. Don't get me wrong. Art's always good. That's the different characters, the crime cards, because you're gonna solve different crimes as you go through, different pieces of evidence that you're going to find. And by evidence, I mean not only items and things, but also suspects. So you'll find all of that. That's just the different locations you're going to be going to. Do I have? Yeah, I do have the cards merged. Okay. So yeah, I tried to make it look like you're actually looking at a case file. So there is that, and they cost a number of investigation points because you only have so much time to solve a crime, and each time you try to do something, it's going to cost you, and you can get some back, but for the most part, it's going to cost you, and you're limited on the time. Now, let's show you. You notice it says case 1. And let's go back to here. And this will be the last thing I show you. Whoops. Yeah, it is an hour and a half already. That went by pretty quick. To me, anyway. But this will be the last thing I show you. And this is one, again, I'm working on a lot. There's no point in making it extra large because you can only see... You'll only be able to see so much anyway. There we go. And this would be the first part of the book or part of a set of cards where if you find or you're trying to interact with this individual, you're going to be going through to different locations. I should say this. You're going to go to different locations and you're going to investigate. You're trying to find out what's going on with this crime. And it'll give you a hint of where to go at first. And yeah, you'll notice he's all X's. That's when he's dead. You won't be able to talk to him. Can't ask him about himself when he's dead, kind of a thing. But if you were ever to find this guy and you wanted to ask him about, say, a set of tire tracks, where did you find those tire tracks? In the park, the Green Room, which is a seedy nightclub owned by the mob, 12th Avenue Apartments, a rundown set of apartments. Oakview Heights is a residential neighborhood style place that wishes it was more upscale. And the warehouse is your docks area. So if you find the tire tracks at the park, it's going to mean one thing. Versus if you find them at the warehouse, it's going to mean something completely different. So when you have Michael up on the suspect board, as a suspect, and you find this set of tire tracks, at any time you can go to him and ask him, "Hey, what do you know about the tire tracks you found at the park?" Well, then you would go to that entry or that card, however I decide we're going to do this, and ask exactly what you found. And there's going to be choices involved with each one where you might go off on some kind of an adventure, or and there will be people that die. And by die, I mean permadeath in this one. Not a character, not you guys, but I mean it is possible. Everything is possible. But yeah, so it's very much a choose your own adventure. Yeah, like here. Um, you're going to ask about something at a pawn shop. You're seeing this guy Eli West, and if the case is a walk in the park, you can do these things, and there are going to be multiple cases, and you can choose whether to search for Eli, confront the person you found, or you can talk to the pawnbroker. And each one you do is going to, well, branch off into something else. It might give you more clues. It might turn certain people against you. Um, yeah, and based on skills that you have, any story tokens you might find are going to affect your choices. I was kind of thinking the same. I like the book idea, because again, it's not going to be hard to shuffle through it. I'd make it probably spiral bound just to make life a lot easier to lay it out on the table. But I'm kind of hoping that's something that people would be interested in. Is a nice. Have you ever played L.A. Noir? That's one of the influences on this is that. And yeah, if you have certain cards, and you are going to get cards, investigative cards, evidence cards, and so on. In fact, there's some evidence cards that are going to replace other ones. So if you found a tire iron in the beginning, at first it's just a tire iron until you investigate more, and then you find out that it was a maybe a murder weapon. Then you would replace that original tire iron with the new card. Now, I don't want to say what the cards are here, because if somebody goes reading through or paging through by accident and sees something, I don't want to give it away. So it would just say card 193, and that's in a handy dandy Excel spreadsheet. But each one is going to be building towards an ending. There's a lot of entries in here. I've been working on this for maybe 2.5 years or so. But and I had to work on these. I put them out of order only because I didn't want you just to read the book in order, kind of thing. I wanted you to actually be able to look through and find your adventure. But I have it planned out, and then here's the different crimes you're going to be able to uh, choose at the beginning. And like a walk in the park, you find a body. Um, let's see. Yeah, there's those. I don't want to give too much out. My notes. It's very important for me that there are consequences for any of your choices for this game. And again, noir is a style of story where you're not sure who the good guys, bad guys really are, because everybody's morally ambiguous. Even the city itself that you're positioned, that you're stationed in, that you're living in, is trying to probably kill you. It's not a place of hope. It's a place of surviving, getting through it, with as much dignity and morality as you possibly can. But you're going to have to face the consequences of whatever you choose. Now, yeah, of course, if you wanted to play it that way, could you say, "Oh, I hate this choice," and go back? I'm not going to be there to slap your hand away from turning a book, you know. But in the spirit of the game, live with the choices. Okay, and you might end up getting suspects killed. You might turn them where they love you, where they hate you, whether they're suspicious of you, and that's going to affect your story. I thought about locations having special abilities, but I don't think they really need it. Um, it's something I put into my notes to consider. But yep, there's all the outlines for the different crimes, endings, twists, and there's multiple endings. There's plot twists that are going to come into play, and yeah, I want to have this out by next year. So that's going to be my goal. I know it says crimes here and there's not much listed, but I have them in a separate document just to try to keep this from being as uncluttered as possible. But yeah, there's going to be quite a few entries for this. Yeah, move to your starting area, and each character will have a different starting location. So Michael comes bursting into your office and needs your help. You tell him to calm down and tell you what he wants. He says that Sharon was robbed. You ask what he's talking about, and he says that someone took something from her car last night. And then again, are your skills going to be honest? Are you going to be shady? It's up to you, because maybe you're the one that took something from her car, and you got to lie about it. Don't know. I don't know until. Here's the thing. That's the trick about it, is I don't know what your choices are going to be. I'm just going to give you the options, and these are the options for one character. Like, this is that Sharon we were talking about. If you ask her about Michael, where was Michael found? Was he found in the park? Was he found in the green room getting drunk? Was he found at the 12th Avenue apartments? Was he found at Oakview Heights, which is her house? Was he found at the warehouse, which is where he works? So wherever you find him, whatever happened to him based on the story is going to influence what they tell you. Same thing with Roger. You know, what if you find a matchbook outside of the green room? Well, the green room's a bar. It's a nightclub. So a matchbook might be expected. Or if you found out that the matchbook had a note scrawled inside of it and it was in the green room, well, that's a whole completely different thing then, isn't it? And that's what we're trying to plan out here. Myra. You're going to either love or hate Myra. She's the nosy neighbor, but she has something going on. Joe Hill is your gangster. Hal is his Weasley little right hand. Eli works for the bank. He's a little guy, works for the bank. Daryl is Roger's brother. Daryl owns the warehouse. Mike is your. I mean, you're going to be like a detective, a private eye, returning military, something. Michael is your typical down on your luck loser. He's the one that's embroiled in a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to give too much away, but yeah, that's Michael. He is that archetype, that character in noir. He is the one that's just getting beaten down, and so yeah, that's your scene of the crime. Almost ready. I just need to make a few flesh out anyway. A few choices. Yeah, placing story tokens on things. All right, bud. Yeah, I'm going to end it too in a couple of minutes. So I guess this would be a good spot. So yeah, but that's Scene of the Crime. I'm hoping to bring it out this year or early next year. And I'd really like, let me know what you guys think of it. All right. I appreciate you stopping in. Good luck and have fun. And if I shoot anything, I'll post it to Big Sexy tonight. All right. We'll see you.